If there are any among this people who should ever apostatize, prepare your backs for a good whipping. We declare without equivocation that God the Father and His Son, the Lord Jesus Christ, appeared in person to the boy Joseph Smith. Our whole strength rests on the validity of that vision. It either occurred or it did not occur. If it did not, then this work is a fraud.
So plain and precious. Finally, the Book of Mormon is the keystone of
Emmanuel.
Just as the arch crumbles if the keystone is removed, so does all the church fall with the truthfulness of the Book of Mormon. The enemies of the church understand this clearly.
I came to know for myself that Jesus Christ was born of the Virgin Mary, who was a precious and chosen vessel. I have studied the gathering, prayed about it, feasted upon every related scripture, and asked the Lord to increase my understanding. So imagine my delight when I was led recently to a new insight. With the help of 2 Hebrew scholars, I learned that one of the Hebraic meanings of the word Israel is let God prevail.
The mandate given by the First Presidency and the presiding bishopric is to only focus on financial growth. EPA employees are told that the money will be used after the second coming of Jesus Christ or during Armageddon right before he would come again.
Prepare your backs for a good whipping.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. So I was kind of surprised that there were a number of people going to work today. Even my cute little honey bunny on the tracks. Said I've been thinking about her ever since I last saw her. And so I was wondering, because the other transportation failed to show, and so I'm realizing, I'm likely to run into her again. Not likely, because it's the day after a holiday, and most people are likely to take an extra long weekend off. No, there she was. I had already been premeditatively coming up with a conversation, because, that's what we do. We don't want to get caught frozen and looking stupid. And so, there she was, in her same spot, as always. And my load was too heavy to go to the spot where I can watch her watch me. And instead, when it came time to get off together, she froze. I didn't freeze. I said good morning, and she froze. So, what's up with that? I thought that was only something Sandra Bullock does in her movies. And so, also, on my little journey this morning, I overheard a couple sit down behind me. They aren't a couple, but a man and a woman. And they sat behind me so that I was able to hear everything they said. And as we drove past Temple Square, the woman asked the guy if that's the Mormons' church. So Nelson's campaign failed. Jesus is offended. He's going to smite down Salt Lake City for their disobedience and disloyalty whenever he decides to show. He's late. 3 months late. And so the guy responded, as apparently she knew he was Mormon, and so she asked him about the Mormon church, which would have been a perfect opportunity for him if he was a returned missionary. He knows exactly what to do. He's not gonna freeze. See, I tie it all together. I know exactly what I'm doing. You just have to endure the hour-long introduction before I get to the good stuff that you were waiting to hear from the video's title. He froze. He goes, oh, yeah, I guess. Temple Square. They're both Utahns. They live here in Utah. At least the woman who doesn't go to the Mormon church knew that there was this Temple Square, and she was going, is this it? Clearly not knowing anything about the church other than by reputation in the news. And so this was his perfect opportunity to say, yeah, this is our temple. It's Temple Square. And he did, oh my God, humiliating. And so I guess he's a lazy learner and a lax disciple. Doesn't attend conference to know what the words of Nelson are. It's a joke for those of you who watch conference, or at least have seen my videos where I do the video clip of him calling you a lazy learner and a lax disciple. And so, yeah, that was an utter humiliation for the church, because apparently, as a Mormon, he just doesn't care to be a part of it. And so the church, as a result, because Mormons are no longer interested in the church, are not really wanting to share about the church. See, I have no problem sharing about the church. I let y'all know about it. I do church news videos at the end of the day, and I don't think there's anybody working for the church today. The church loves to make excuses to not pay people. That's what they do. They pay a minimum wage and then purposely try to find ways to not have you come into work so that they don't have to pay you. And so they force you to take vacation days. Nonetheless, yeah, that's an interesting social studies observation. So, now that we got the introduction over with, and we're now 3 hours into the video now, the one thing that Mormons do that proves the church is false. Yeah, it's not necessarily the guy, but he did ruin the church's reputation by not being able to answer her. All he had to do was say, yeah, that's our temple, headquarters, called Temple Square. Simple. And would you like to know more? I can send the missionaries on you. They're younger than I am and know less than well, maybe they know more. Nope, he failed. No, it's when Mormons commit crimes to protect the church. You can't be a bully and then at the same sentence claim that your church is true. You can't steal from people and tell them you're a Mormon. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. See ya, sucker! You can't cause a drive-by shooting and then say, hey, I'm immune. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You know, the president has his immunity now. Oh my God. It's like they completely forgot. Trump was talking about in the beginning, yeah, I can be on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I'm immune. Oh my God. And here he is. I'm immune. SEAL Team 6, get him! And just, oh dear God, we're all doomed. But yeah, to claim that, well, this is Utah, and so therefore Mormons can do whatever they want, they're immune. Because that has typically been the tradition. And if you don't understand where that comes from, it comes from the Book of Mormon, obviously. Mormons all know and understand and comprehend their Book of Mormon. And so we go to the Book of Helaman, chapter 6. Where Mormons follow the precept of the Book of Mormon. Verse 21 is where we'll start. But behold, Satan did stir up the hearts of the more part of the Mormons, insomuch that they did unite with those bands of robbers, and did enter into their covenant paths and oaths, that they would protect and preserve one another in whatsoever difficult circumstances they would be placed, that they should not suffer for their murders, and their plunderings, and their stealings. And it came to pass that they had their signs, tokens, and secret names, secret words, this that they might distinguish a brother or sister in the covenant path, that whatsoever wickedness their brother or sister should do, he should not be injured by his brother or sister, nor by those who did belong to his band, who had taken this covenant path oath. Thus they might murder and plunder and steal and commit whoredoms and all manner of wickedness, contrary to the laws of the United States of America and the United States Constitution, and also contrary to the laws set forth by the Book of Mormon, the keystone of their religion, and Joseph Smith, the founder. And Travis, who belonged to the church, born and raised in the covenant, should reveal unto the world of their wickedness and abominations, should be tortured, abused, and punished unto death in violation of due process, of the laws of the land, and of the church of which they all claim to be a branch off from. See? Type and shadow symbolisms, likening the scriptures unto yourself. Mormons do that. They're so good at their scriptures. Yeah, it means the church isn't true. We're done. And so, yeah, to extend it out, Mormons who do this kind of thing demonstrate that the church is false, that they're bad. 8 passengers Mormon woman, she's now in prison. Yeah, reflects on the church. Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow, yeah, reflects on the church. Brian David Mitchell, yeah, reflects on the church. Mark Hoffman, reflects on the church. Even Warren Jeffs, he's a branch off from Brigham Young, still reflects on the church. As Hinckley gets up and lies on 60 Minutes to a world audience. I'm watching that night when it happened, that interview. I even tried to obtain the transcripts of it. And I'm listening to him, and I'm hearing him go contrary to our religion. And I'm still remembering, going through my head, well, he's talking about him. He doesn't drink caffeine. He doesn't watch R-rated movies. Oh, Hinckley. And so, yeah, it was a tough moment that our leader knew nothing of our doctrine. And he's trying to be a spokesperson, go out there and do public interviews and get the church known, and sending out all kinds of ads and flyers and such to try to increase the church's wealth through recruitment. And so, yeah, any religion has to have knowledgeable leaders. If you just get a regular Joe Blow who claims, I'm starting a Christian church, it's the Church of the Lamb of the Virgin Messiah, Jesus, Holy Sepulchre, Path of Righteousness, Source of Truth, Church. In Newburgh, New York, on my mission, they had a Christian church on every corner. Here in Utah, Mormon church on every corner. But we came past one building that had the church at the first level, and right there next to the door was the sign. It was just a wood thing with writing on it, kind of cheap, not an expensive marketing thing. And yeah, it was a very long title of the name of their church. The Church of the Lamb of God of the, yeah. That's where I get it from. Associative memory. And, yeah. And so, regardless, yeah, Mormon church, yes, also. The leadership is expected by the membership to know their Bible, because the membership wants excuses not to know their Bible, so that the leaders can tell them what the Bible tells them to think and feel and believe and do, so that they can be lazy learners and lax disciples. Go around and attacking other people who don't believe like them, or who expose the truth of their religion. And so, in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, it's a little different than Christianity. Because Christianity, they have seminaries where you can get degreed and certified to teach, so that you can have your own congregation. And that's something that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints criticizes. The church boasts about how we don't have authority from education. It's not authority to lead the church, it's authority to teach its membership. And Mormons don't understand the difference between Christianity and their understanding of being Christian non-Trinitarian. And so for Christians, yeah, you want somebody who's certified to teach you the Bible. And it has nothing to do with authority of priesthood to perform ordinances and such. They're just preachers. Catholic Church, yeah, that's a different story. But all the Protestant Reformationists, yeah, completely different. And so this is why you're seeing in the news about the Baptists and Methodists and Jehovah's Witnesses who are breaking up, branching off even further from the core of Constantine's creation of Christianity. because it isn't about Jesus telling them what to do, even though they use him as an excuse. If you remember Pence versus Buttigieg. Well, my Jesus hates gays. Oh, my Jesus loves gays. And so it has nothing to do with authority. It has to do with using Jesus as a scapegoat for hate. And so in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we do get educated. We just don't necessarily get certified and licensed. Our license comes from being approved, having paid the money to be found worthy to be ordained an elder in the Melchizedek priesthood. And then boom, there we are. We literally, according to the laws of the United States of America, can now form our own church. We don't have to be the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints anymore. They gave us authority in the eyes of the laws of the nation, and we can go and branch off and form our own church, just like Brian David Mitchell, just a religious leader persecuted for his religious beliefs. Yeah, well, he's in the state of Utah. Obviously, nobody's going to take that seriously. Give him the death penalty if they could. He should. And same with Chad Daybell. Same with anybody who branches off from this church and forms their own cult group. Even if you're not an official religion, but you do YouTube video channels talking about religious subject matters. And so yes, even I'm a religious leader. I am licensed as a Melchizedek priesthood holder. I am talking about religious subject matter. And for YouTube to attack me as they've been doing is a religious hate crime. Proves that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints isn't true. Because they have to leave me alone. If the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints can't tell the truth, if they purposely forge documents claiming it's by the founder, if they're committing acts of murder, insurrection, forcing other people who are not members to do and be and think and feel as a member, they're not a legitimate religion anymore. They're now committing crime. But with SCOTUS that's in power, I'm sure the church is immune. Screw the Constitution, right? Going back to a monarchy, because the Book of Mormon says that in the latter days, the evil Lucifer will be in control of the government with a constitutional republic, and that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints will rise up and murder the government leaders and strip them of their government authority to establish a monarchy. That was what the kingmen and the freemen were all about. Those freemen, liberal, sensitive snowflakes. Got to establish a kingdom again. Just like under King George. Right? How did you get fooled? Why are you voting for Trump again? You know Article of Faith number 12. Don't shrug it off like, well, I don't know, I guess. Or freeze. And so we would expect that the leaders of the church are setting a good example. that if members of the church are not setting a good example and hurting the reputation of the leaders, that the leaders clamp down on the members and saying, hey, what are you doing, dumbass? We would expect the leaders to tell us the truth about the Book of Mormon, about the church history. That when people find out the truth, that the leaders of the church say, yeah, we've been lying to you. We're now going to start telling you the truth. So now we're true? This is the problem. Because the lies came all the way back from Brigham Young. Not Joseph Smith, not the Book of Mormon. Book of Mormon was always the way it was until Brigham Young came out with a new edition. But the forged documents, it's in the Joseph Smith papers. Anybody who does simple, basic research can go, wait a minute, wait a minute, Even Mormons with our printed canon can say, wait a minute. Section 115 says the name of the church is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, whereas Section 20 says the name of the church is the Church of Christ. And if we had an unedited version of the Joseph Smith history of 1838, we'd see that Joseph Smith didn't change the name in Section 115, because that was written before Joseph wrote the visionary accounts, where he calls the name of the Church of the Latter-day Saints. And so even if you didn't go to the Joseph Smith papers to review Section 107 and see all of the licenses given out to all of the elders who are now going to go on missions, and that you would see the name of the church as the Church of the Latter-day Saints, and you would see Joseph Smith's actual signature, not James Sloan's signature of Joseph Smith when he was in Nauvoo, signing licenses with the name of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And then Joseph Smith comes to town and says, oh, you've got the Times and Seasons going. Great, we have some stuff that I didn't get published from 1838 when I was locked up in Liberty Jail because of Mormons who were claiming to be Danites. Oh, yeah, sure, Joseph, okay, here you go. And, oops, Church of the Latter-day Saints. And so, knowing that Joseph Smith never changed the name of the church to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, knowing now that the Danites were the ones who were cooing Joseph Smith's church and changed the name of the church to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you know that since this church claims that the name of the church is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, they are the Danites who cooed Joseph Smith's church and had him murdered. But still, you should still be able to go, there's something going on here. There's contradictions. Section 119, wait a minute, why are we now supposed to practice priestcraft? And why is it only for the top leadership and not from stake presidencies on down? Because the Book of Mormon makes it very clear, no priestcraft. Is the Book of Mormon no longer the keystone of our religion? Are the manuals wrong from President Benson, who said that the Book of Mormon is our keystone, but we're under condemnation? Still? These kinds of things are supposed to trouble you as a Mormon. And eventually, if you keep studying, you're going to find more And eventually you'll come to the point where you're at the crossroads. You know the church is lying to you. You know that Nelson doesn't know his scriptures. You know that they're committing crimes. You know that the consequences of the corrupt leadership is influencing Mormons to be corrupt. And so now you're faced with a decision. Do you curl up in a ball and cry and say, the church is true, the church is true, the church is true? And go on hiatus for several years and then come back and pretend like nothing happened before. Right, Kwaku? Avraham Gileadi, part of September 6, published a book after helping the church with footnotes. The original edition from 1982, after Kimball scrapped the first batch to corrupt the Book of Mormon with the subtitle. He talked about the Jewish Christ. Saw it in the Book of Mormon. Talked about it in a book about the latter days. He's still a faithful Mormon. He's trying to reconcile. He knows the truth, but the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has to be true at all costs. And so he pulls a fallacy argument by being lukewarm. I would that you were hot or cold, otherwise you're lukewarm and I'm spewing you out. Which doesn't make any sense, because lukewarm water is okay too. But it's not something you want when you're thirsty, per se, and if you're too thirsty, yeah, any water will do. Although hot water would not be pleasant. See, I can't have hot chocolate because it's hot. I can't drink it. I have to wait until it's lukewarm. So what's the point of making it hot? Doesn't make any sense. But anyway, so I can't do hot chocolate in this apartment. They use bleach in the water. What the hell? I'm not drinking bleach. I'd rather not drink Drano. Dear God. What the hell? So, anyway. Sidetracks always get me off. I don't have a script. I don't have references. And so, we'll keep on talking. We're technically done. I could quit at any time. Nobody's listening this far, are you? I just stop mid-sentence, turn off the video. Nobody would ever know. So, yeah, that's... Oh, right. Sacrifice, honor. There it is. I do have notes. I didn't realize that I was leading up to that. And so, yeah, you're at a crossroads now. Avraham Gileadi tried to merge the two lines into one, published the book that way, saying that there was going to be the fulfillment of the Jewish prophecy as a regular human being, and that he was going to prepare the way for Jesus. That was Joseph, who was going to prepare the way for the other Mormon in the future. So he didn't really quite know Judaism. Either that or he purposely screwed it all up to try to merge it with the church, rather than acknowledging that if the Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon are Jewish, then it can't be Christian. But he published it anyway, and the church fired and excommunicated him. He no longer has a job, no longer has an income. He has a family. Children are in the covenant. Got sealed to her in the temple. He owes everything to the church. Church owns him. And he betrayed them. Kinda. He didn't deny Jesus. He just talked about the Jewish Christ at the same time. Church can't have that. It's got to be all Christian or you're wrong. And so, he is now faced with, I can't get any other job. I am only educated from the church. And I'm in Utah. I am now an outcast. I am now shunned from my fellow Mormons. I can no longer obtain employment to support my family in the way that the church had provided for us. And so he came crawling back on his hands and knees to deny the Jewish religion. So, Natasha Helfer, remember her? She's a psychologist, educated from BYU, and so she can't do anything else with her life. It's all she knows. It's all she was educated for. And for some bizarre reason, she was trying to incorporate actual science with psychology, which is a pseudoscience, by using fallacy arguments. They are fake, they are frauds, they are criminal. Haven't you been paying attention to the news? There's Natasha Helfer, who exposes that psychology is not science because she uses medical science for her clients who have addictions and blindness and viruses from porn. And likewise was saying there's nothing harmful about masturbation. It's healthy. It's kind of a necessity of life for men. It's kind of how the human race continues to exist. But the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which believes in the Bible too, demands that Mormons be non-sexual beings. That being sexual is evil. It's of the devil. And thus guilt trips and shame and abuse and sexual abuse and depression and then drugging by the psychologists for depression emerge. And people get disappeared, and then they got a tombstone down in Provo at their asylum with an unknown name. And the reason why they were locked up down there, they were caught masturbating. And so she was trying to incorporate truth with her lies. The church can't have that. No truth whatsoever is allowed. And so she was fired and excommunicated. The church came to her and threatened her. She chose to stick with 1% truth and 99% lie. And so she has to be an independent employer now. That's all she knows. That's all she can do. And so, yeah, there's a huge faith crisis group called Exfos. So she can then pluck from there, as long as they aren't already plucked by John Dehlin. And so, yeah, this act shows that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, these acts, that the leadership aren't true. That the church is not telling the truth with the educational system. Because the church needs to answer questions. And if the church won't answer the questions, Mormons have no other option but to either study, or if that's too hard, to make up their own answers. So it's weird. The whole thing is just weird. That Mormons who know nothing of Mormonism, who are literally lazy learners and lax disciples, who coast through life like the member on the train today, who freezes whenever somebody wants to talk about the church. So it was a perfect opportunity to lie and say that the church is true and it's good and great, gives out all this charity, doesn't expect anything in return, does not expect a favor though. It's not a business transaction, it's just charity. All the millions of dollars given to Gail Miller's shelters, it went directly to the homeless. It didn't go to Gail Miller's pocket, which was then laundered back to the church. Nope, church is true. It must be true at all costs, and we'll murder you to prove that it's true. And it's sad that Exfos don't recognize me. That they too have been fooled like Mormons have been fooled into thinking that I don't have authority, because I still believe the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith are true. Therefore I'm wrong. When you didn't study, you read and heard some other video from somebody else who lied to you, and you felt good about it, just like the church taught you to do. God, why did she freeze? I wanted to talk with her. I'm lonely. I wanted to go to Zion. Just have one woman to spend my life with. Is that too hard? Yes.